Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. I have a great crew tonight. The whole idea for tonight's show, we'll be talking about the focus on MLB division leaders. So what we'll do is be able to address each and every one of those. So with that said, okay, let me talk. Welcome the crew tonight. First of all, Rick Curti, Mr. Opinion. Welcome back, Rick.
Thank you, Scott.
And Eric Katz, Mr. Concrete Dump.
Thanks, Scott.
And last but not least, Ralph Williams, host of the Sports Corner. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Well, Ralph, since you're not a regular on this particular show, why don't you let everybody know exactly the shows that you stand behind?
I have a sports show called Sports Corner. It's on every Tuesday night live on YouTube and Facebook. Usually at 8 o'clock, but sometimes I have to make adjustments, and I will. Tonight we're on at 9:30. I also have I do a Pittsburgh Maulers show on Wednesday at 4:30. I do pre and post game for the Maulers, and I also do a TV show called Sports Corner as well. It's on every Saturday at 5 p.m.
Very good. All right. Well, let's.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot about my Blog Talk radio show with Mark Mancini on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. I work with Mark. We have our own shows as well. Fire Up Michigan and Fire Up Florida. Those are on Friday nights as well, on rotating Fridays. With that said, okay, let's talk about every individual division leader. We're going to lead off, and I guess lead off is a very popular term in baseball, with the Milwaukee Brewers, and no better person to lead off with it than Eric Katz, who's in the Wisconsin area.
Yeah, in regards to the Brewers, they're right now in first place ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's why I think the Brewers are for real. Number one, it took Willie Adames to really get them going last year, and they're in a better place than they were last year. And obviously June we saw them run the table, and they remained in first place for just about the whole year with the Cubs eventually meeting their demise in that June. And also, the Cardinals, what's going to do them in is, man, their starting staff is just very inconsistent. Obviously Jack Flaherty can't stay healthy, and their pitching staff is what gets them into trouble. They got the bats, no doubt, with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, but the fact of the matter remains, that team is just so inconsistent. I don't know what it is. They have talent, but for some reason, they just can't get the bug off their back. Which the Brewers this year are actually hitting the ball a lot better. As we speak, they lead in RBIs and home runs. So this team's in a way better place than last year. I think they'll win the Central.
Rick, now we're not going to talk about the Milwaukee Milkmen like you always like to do, so you better stick to the ones that drink beer, the Brewers. What are your thoughts about the Brewers and the start that they're off to?
Well, I'm not really surprised. They've been so good ever since Greg Counsell has been the manager. He's one of the best managers in baseball. I like them. They're a scrappy blue-collar team. They're a total, team, old-school team that I like. They're not all about the home runs. They're all about everything. I like what they do, and very blue-collar. They got a great manager, and we'll see how far he takes them. I know they've come up short a couple of times, but this could be their year. I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks won the championship, so, all these small market, quote unquote, small market teams, are really making some noise. So we'll see what the Brewers are doing. It's still very early, but they're off to a great start.
Well, Ralph, let's not kid ourselves. The Pittsburgh Pirates face the Brewers an awful lot because of divisional play. They see them a lot. So if anybody knows a little bit more about the Brewers, I would definitely think you are, Ralph.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of them, and we have trouble beating them. Our manager, Lloyd, once upon a time, Lloyd McClendon, holds the record for the most wins. But anyway, Milwaukee, if they're having issues with their starting pitching, I guess their bullpen is what's pulling them on. Plus, I think Milwaukee's winning a lot of games too because other teams are making mistakes. When other teams make mistakes and beat themselves, that's exactly why Milwaukee is probably in first place right now, because they've been playing certain teams in the division that have been making a lot of mistakes when they play Milwaukee. So that's what I believe is the thing. And Andy Haynes being gone as the hitting instructor, I thought that it would hamper Milwaukee, and it hasn't. So we'll see what they do, and they look like they're for real, and we'll go from there.
Well, all I can say is Craig Counsell's the most underrated manager in baseball. If Christian Yelich can perform to his capabilities, they're in good shape. But there's one guy that we need to mention, Andrew McCutchen, who seems to have found a nice spot up in Milwaukee as well. And Andrew McCutchen obviously began his career with the Pirates, and he's moved around a little bit. So, Eric, I'm going to defer to you on this. What are your thoughts about the Brewers' addition of Andrew McCutchen?
Well, right now he's on the COVID list at the moment, but it's been good for the lineup. He's been kind of like another spark in the lineup that they've needed. But he's been pretty good so far. I know it's early, and it's really hard for me to judge right now. And so like I think it's a great move. He gives him another bat he's another bat in the lineup. He was doing so well prior to going on the COVID list, but I've liked the move so far, at least the early indications of it. Also, Ralph, in regard to your comment earlier about their starting pitching, I don't think starting pitching is really the issue there. Yeah, Woodruff got ran yesterday, which as a pitcher that happens. It's just not your day. But Corbin Burns has pitched extremely well. Unfortunately, the Brewers' offense every time he pitches so far has really just not it hasn't been able to do what it's been able to do. We've seen Eric Lauer ever since July of last season. Eric Lauer has been the man in that lineup. It's no longer just about the big three of Freddie Peralta, Corbin Burns, or Brandon Woodruff. You got to add Eric Lauer in there, and once Aaron Ashby gets a little better, he can. I think we're talking about a staff that just can be one of the most dominant staffs in all of baseball. And the great thing about it is they're all homegrown.
Yeah, the offense, it sounds like Eric's been laying an egg, and that's, sometimes that happens. You can have a good pitching staff, but if you don't have good hitting to combine with that, sometimes, you can lay an egg. And Milwaukee's offense is laying an egg on the pitching, and, here we go,
It was that way last year, and I like the move to get rid of Haynes because, truthful, that offense struggled for most of the year. Willie Adames came in there, and things started to pick up a little bit. But for most of the year, that offense struggled, and I think the pitching is a big reason why that team won the NL Central last year. And then the offense decided to die in the postseason against the eventual champion Atlanta Braves. But keep in mind, though, you can't forget about Rowdy Tellez and Willie Adames really pacing that lineup, and also Yelich. Yelich is starting to come around. He's been hitting the ball very hard, which typically bodes for good things as the season goes on. Once this weather gets more consistently hot, oh baby, baseballs are going to be flying out of AmFam Field.
The only thing I'll say about the Brewers before we move on is I deal with a similar situation with Miami, with the Marlins. Excellent, exceptional pitching, but their bats are just they're not very good. So the Marlins are weak offensively. And speaking of the Marlins, they will take on the Milwaukee Brewers this weekend over at Lone Depot Park, and they will be celebrating the 25th anniversary of that 1997 World Series, by which Craig Counsell was on. With that said,
most important sacrifice.
Is Jim Leyland coming?
Yeah, I believe he is.
Is Jim Leyland coming, Scott? Oh, that's good.
I believe he is. All right, so let's go on to the New York Mets. Okay, obviously Steve Cohen invests a lot of money this time around. Max Scherzer, Starling Marte, and I think the biggest intangible. I think the biggest intangible is Buck Showalter, the manager. Yeah, I mean, you talk about a manager making a difference. I think Buck Showalter is it. So, Rick, you're nodding your head. What are your thoughts about the hire of Buck Showalter?
I love it. He needs to be back in baseball. He's one of the brightest minds in baseball. Of course, he was with the Yankees, and who knows what would have happened if it wasn't for that strike. Probably would have won the World Series that year. Who knows? But, I mean, I'm just glad to see him back. We saw the mess what was happening in Baltimore, and that's all ownership and Peter Angelo's feet, not Buck Showalter. So I'm glad he's back. Not really surprised the Mets are doing so good because of Buck Showalter. And now they got an owner that wants to spend money. So you got great management, an owner that wants to spend money and not afraid to get great players. And, of course, he wants to outshine the Yankees. And so good for him. I love what Cohen's doing. I think the Mets were the first to reach 20 wins. And so far, so good for them. It's still very early, like I said, but so far, so good for the Mets. And Buck Showalter right now looks like manager of the year.
All right, go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, Buck Showalter's a great manager. He cracks the whip. He doesn't play no games. He's a no nonsense kind of guy. And I like him. Just like Tony La Russa fixed up the White Sox. Who would ever thought, at his age that he would be able to do that, but he has. Buck Showalter's back, and he's in baseball again, and he's managing like he likes to do. Marte being added to their lineup is not a bad thing either. Marte needed to get out of Pittsburgh because he needed a fresh start and a different atmosphere, things like that. Sometimes that helps out, and so I'm glad he's where he is, and I'm glad the Mets are doing well. And Buck Showalter is a good manager. He's a great manager. I've seen him turn teams around and things like that. He's done a well of a job. He's a whip cracker. He doesn't play no games. And he's straightforward, and that's the kind of manager you need sometimes.
Well, Max Scherzer is a great addition, and to validate your point, Ralph, for a lot of folks that are watching and listening, Buck Showalter was the first manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he laid out the groundwork so Bob Brenly was able to finish the job. But I think Buck Showalter should have won that title more so than Bob Brenly. But it's evident that Buck Showalter's gotten more jobs. I don't know why Bob Brenly ever did. Not going to get into that. So, all right, Mr. Concrete Dump, some thoughts about the Mets.
As far as money goes, this is New York. You have to spend money. Fred Wilpon was more than willing to spend money when he owned the team, because keep in mind, think of the free agent mistakes he made with guys like Johan Santana, Vince Coleman, Bobby Bonilla, and more. It's not that they were unwilling to spend money. It's just they didn't. It's just that, unfortunately, he spent it on the wrong people. Now, I think Cohen's a little smarter than that. I think having Max Scherzer helps. Keep in mind, though, Jacob deGrom has had yet to pitch this year, and he'll be pitching in about a month or so. So they'll be having one of their aces come back. And Jacob deGrom's proven that he's a very dominant pitcher. He just needs to stay healthy. And I think this year they can finally hit the ball. But keep in mind, though, last year pitching was pacing them, but yet they were like the Brewers. Pitching was pacing them, and they were leading a very weak NL East for most of the season until they completely collapsed. But keep in mind, though, the 07 and 08, we thought the Mets would be in the postseason once again after trying to capitalize on momentum from their 06 season. But the Mets, being the Mets, let everybody down. So I'm not gonna buy the Mets hype just yet, because I've seen this from them before over the years, too many times. And I think that, we have to give it until we'll figure out what kind of team they are in the second half. Love Buck Showalter. The guy like Jim Leland doesn't put up with the players' BS. Unlike some other managers who are too much of player coaches nowadays, who kind of are just wanting to keep the players happy. Buck Showalter does not care whether you're happy or not. All he demands you go out and play. But he's probably one of the last old school managers of our time. I mean, you could probably argue Tony La Russa is definitely that way, which that's kind of caused a little bit of a clash in the clubhouse with the White Sox. But Buck Showalter will tell you what you need to hear. He's won everywhere. He like Scott said, he laid the groundwork for Arizona, and Arizona was able to be successful for that short period of time. And he's won everywhere he's gone, including New York. This guy can manage in New York. He did it with the Yankees, and he's doing it now with the Mets. But I think he's perfect hire. And obviously Baltimore, he took a Baltimore team of all teams to the playoffs, and probably might have been able to beat the Yankees in the series had they not had another fan incident, which seems to always plague the Yankees-Orioles playoff series. Take Jeffrey Mayer, for example.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about the situation in Baltimore is you feel bad that his last year was so pathetic because of Peter Angelos. I mean, and when you talk about one-loss record, it's tainted a little bit, but I think justice was served, right, Rick, that he ends up landing with the Mets so he can forget about his last act and his newest act.
Well, yeah. the thing about the Orioles, though, like the Angelos has made a mess of that team. You can't put that on Buck. He could not win. Right. Nobody in their right mind could win there. I don't think even the greatest managers in the world could win with that team. I'm not.
Connie Mack couldn't win there
easily. Connie Mack definitely couldn't win there. and like no manager could, not even Casey Stengel. But I can't put that one on Buck. That unfortunately though was a situation where the Orioles, thinking that we're gonna get better, instead they collapsed the whole thing. They essentially pulled a Frank Cashin.
Okay,
Absolutely, the Orioles, they haven't done anything in a long time, and when ownership doesn't support you and whatnot, that's I mean, I understand how that works, but when management don't support your team and don't give your management an opportunity to do what they need to do, that can happen.
It's why guys I mean, just look at Davey Johnson. He got a raw deal in New York. He got a raw deal at the end of his time with the Mets. A very raw, probably even more of a raw deal when he went to Cincinnati, and easily won with the Angels. He had his own run-ins with the Angels in Baltimore, where it was so bitter that he had to go. And then also, I don't think it was the same I don't think it was a little better in Washington, obviously, but by that time he was, his career was done by then.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the New York. Let's move on to the New York Yankees. I know the biggest Aaron Boone critic on the planet is Mr. Opinion, right, Rick? But Aaron Boone so far seems to have done a pretty good job thus far, albeit it's May 10th. But got to give Aaron Boone credit. So far, they're looking pretty good, Rick.
Yeah, they look hot. I was just talking about the Yankees, and all of a sudden they went like 10 in a row. So, yeah, I kind of put my foot in my mouth in that one. I've always been saying Aaron Boone wasn't the right fit. I still don't. I know they've won a lot of games, and right now he looks fantastic. But I'm still not a big Aaron Boone fan. I still don't know why they signed him to an extension. But it ain't my money. It ain't my team. So, but the Yankees are red hot. They look great. And, well, like I said, still very, very early, but it is New York. And they have won the most World Series championships. And we'll just see what happens. It's still very early, but so far they are very, very red hot, the Yankees.
Okay, Eric, what are your thoughts about the Yankees?
To correct Curti, it was 11 in a row, not 10.
Sorry.
I'd say I had to point that out to him. I'd say Aaron Boone's done a fantastic job this year. Keep in mind, this team last year, with having the lineup that they had, with all the power bats, with Gary Sanchez, Gio Urshela, Aaron Boone, and having a contact here like DJ LeMahieu, this team was off to a very rough start last year in April. And obviously to begin the year, where it took them until the end of the year to go to the playoffs. Now, I think this team's in way better shape. They're playing great fundamental baseball. They're actually putting small ball into their game, which is something very seldomly seen in baseball, where it's home run or nothing. But we're seeing this team really, really basically be more of a complete team with using simple things such as bunting, which, have you heard of that, people? And also the long ball. But also, this team can pitch. Their pitching's way better than their hitting, arguably. And Garrett Cole, despite a slow start to his season, Garrett Cole is now mowing people down. This team is built. And then obviously Nestor Cortez, who's come out of nowhere and nearly had a no-hitter yesterday. This team can win. This team is a complete team. They can do it. They can literally do it all. Steal the long ball and obviously play small ball to manufacture runs across. I think Aaron Boone has just done a fantastic job in New York. I think the guy gets a lot of hate because, number one, it is New York. That the media breathes on you, and then they'll attack you like a pack of bees if you're losing. I just think that Aaron Boone has handled it well. Matter of fact, when he was starting rough, because Aaron Boone's not a big social guy, he's like, I actually heard a story about this. A friend of his calls and says, "Hang in there." And then Aaron Boone jokingly says, "Is it really that bad out there?" So it's really bad. It's really that bad out there, huh? And this guy knows how to shut up, go to work, get the most of his team. Plus, he's there for his players. The guy's a gamer, and the guy knows how to win. And he's done very well in New York, going to the playoffs every single year he's been in the dugout.
All right, Ralph.
Yeah, Aaron Boone was on the hot seat. There were rumors going around this year because of last year's ending. And then he signed a new contract. And, they got Garrett Cole, Jamison Tyon. And, they have some of our guys over there. Yankees are always a good team. They always usually do well. and they always have at least a decent or a good managers. And then sometimes the players that they bring in carry the bad managing where it needs to go. But the Yankees have always had a good team. I respect the Yankees, and I don't say anything bad about them because they're always a good team. And the city's going to act like they're going to act like that because they expect the winner every year. That's like here in Pittsburgh, the Steeler fans expect us to go to the Super Bowl every year. Yankees expect the New Yorkers expect the Yankees to go to the World Series every year. And when it don't happen, they get frustrated. They want to fire the manager already. So, I mean, that's just the way it is with their fans, and they sell out all their games, and, they do a real good job.
Well,
part
of the reason is they're numb to every other sports team. They're numb. They've become numb to the Knicks. They're numb to the Rangers. The Giants have floated into irrelevancy, and the Jets have been irrelevant probably since I was born. It's just because part of the reason is New York is really the only consistent winner they have in that city.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The only thing I'll add to this is Aaron Boone should be thankful it's Hal Steinbrenner in charge instead of George, or he'd have been.
Yeah, if George was in charge, he'd be fired already.
Yeah,
he'd be fired 2 years ago.
He'd be gone.
He would. Yeah, George. Steinbrenner.
We all know how George is. It was.
Yeah, he wasn't known for being, overly the most patient, and the reality, and I'm being nice about it. Okay, so. But George Steinbrenner, Aaron Boone would have been out of here. And I like DJ LeMahieu and the makeup of their ball club as well. So, they're always going to be contenders. They always spend a lot of money. And, again, it is a demanding sports town. When you go ahead and talk to the media, there's a million more of them compared to some of these other places that we're going to get to that we've already gotten to. So if they're going to pay a lot of money, they're going to be a bit more boisterous for sure. So, all right, let's continue on here and talk about the Minnesota Twins. Obviously, their record is 18-11 so far. And let me just go over the records of these teams just to make sure that you folks are keeping score here. Okay.
I have them right here. So
I've got them, Ralph. Okay. Yeah. So
I got them
the Milwaukee
too,
Brewers are 19-11. The Mets are 20-10. The Yankees are 20-8. And of course, the Minnesota Twins are 18-11. So, all right, Ralph, the Minnesota Twins, a team that I believe is managed by Rocco Baldelli, and they had, was it Carlos Correa, I believe, that they
Carlos
signed?
Correa, yes.
Right. So, all right, Ralph, give us your take on the Minnesota Twins.
The Twins are one of like a small market team that always seems to win. They've had some good managers over the years, and they've won some games, and they're a small market team that wins. That's all I can really say about them. I don't. Again, there's another team I respect because I always respect the team that is like the Twins and can win, just like the Rays. I respect them because they're a small market team that wins. Houston is a small market team that wins. So they've been to the playoffs many times and things like that. I really appreciate that kind of stuff, and that's why I like the Twins.
All right, Eric.
I mean, they're just a successful team. I mean, it took them a little while to kind of get back to relevance, but for a while they've always found a way to really make a dent and make an impact when it comes to things. Obviously, they got great young players like Carlos Correa is there. Byron Buxton, man, he's been a terrific young player for them. And so, obviously, this is a team that has found a way to win. They got a solid manager in Rocco Baldelli, who wasn't a bad player either when he was with the Rays. But they're a solid team, like the Rays. They just find a way to do it. The Rays, they also have some really, really smart people in that front office. You could probably argue it's either the Yale and Harvard and Princeton of Major League Baseball.
Rick.
Oh, exactly, and they have a good farm system too. They always bring up you have to have a good farm system when you have a small market team. Twins always seem to be able to have a good one and bring up some good players.
The Rays always have one every year, knowing they're going to have to partner with some guys.
Absolutely, Eric. I agree with you. Yes.
Okay, Rick.
For the Twins, they're a nice story, small market. They do well. I remember the Kirby Puckett, Ken Herbert years; those were great. I'm glad they're in another stadium. I hated the Metrodome. It was beyond hideous with that stupid baggy.
Blue baggy.
That made me want to vomit every time I saw it.
Big
But
blue
they're
baggy.
but they're a nice story. I like them, but are they like a serious contender? No, not to me. They're not. They're a nice story, and like I said, it's very early. But are they gonna Are they gonna make the play? I mean, they could, but I just don't see them going very far. But it's a nice story so far.
All right. The only thing I'm going to add here about the Twins is number one, they're the beneficiaries of being in a division like the American League Central, where a lot of teams could pretty much win it every year. So therefore, and their Achilles heel in the playoffs has always been the New York Yankees. The Yankees spend a lot, and the Twins have to make sure that they monitor their checkbook. Okay, Eric, go ahead.
I mean, I think, obviously the White Sox are having their struggles. But that's because, Jerry Reinsdorf is probably one of the cheapest owners in baseball next to the guy who owns the Pirates, which his name escapes me.
Bob Nutting.
Bob Nutting, yeah, which, Bob Nutting is probably one of the cheapest owners in baseball. That's the big problem there. I think the Tigers are just going to get loaded. We don't know what kind of team we'll have until after the All-Star break, because obviously we've seen teams go from last to first in baseball before, where other teams will just have a free fall and those teams end up going to the postseason. So I think the Tigers are just loading the guns right now.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say about the Detroit Tigers, number one, is Chris Ilitch will spend the money. And I think they've been hit hard by injuries to their pitching staff earlier, and their offense hasn't gotten up to speed. We'll talk about them in another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. But, but the Twins are an interesting story. And just so you know, everybody, that 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, as well as be seen on our YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, by all means, folks, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, and you get all of our shows as well. With that said, so we go from a feel-good story with the Twins are 18-11, and we're going to Los Angeles, Southern California, and we're talking about the Angels. Maybe this is the year that Joe Madden gets it figured out, the man that will go down as the person who led the Chicago Cubs to the World Series 108 years strong. Okay, now has a chance to see it. He can get done with the Angels. All right, Mr. Southern California Curti, give us your assessment of Joe Madden in Southern California.
Well, the Angels, all they needed was pitching, and that's not on Joe Madden. That's Artie Moreno, who don't, for some reason, these obscene, ridiculous, overpaid contracts. Don't forget about Pujols, but Josh Hamilton, and he actually got pitching. So now they got the pitching, and of course they got the hitting with Ohtani and Trout. So right now they're looking really good. And and Joe Madden's a phenomenal coach. I mean, he broke the 100 and some years streak of the Cubs, who I really never thought I'd ever see them win a World Series in my lifetime, to be quite honest. And so he did that. And he was fantastic in Tampa Bay, that. And so with the Angels, it's just, I just blamed Artie Moreno for not investing in pitching, but now he has. They're looking good, and we'll see what happens. If we can get like an Angels, I'd love to see an Angels Dodgers World Series, Freeway Series, because I grew up in Southern California. That'd be fantastic, but we'll see. It's like I said, still too early, but I'm glad that Artie Moreno addressed the pitching, because they're a more complete team now.
All right, Eric.
I think Artie Moreno finally got smart. Instead of just investing in bats, where he thinks that bats will eventually win the World Series. He finally got smart and added pitching. I mean, they have Joe Madden, who he's back again in LA. He laid the groundwork for Tampa Bay to be successful like they've been, and he led that team to the World Series. Didn't win it, but who would have thought the Rays would be in the World Series at that point in time, especially with what happened to them the year prior. I think they finally have it all. They finally have a complete team where, and also given the fact the AL West keeps on getting weaker and weaker every year. I mean, the Rangers are trying, but come on, I don't think Mr. Little League Ballpark is going to win in Texas. I think
it is a Little League Ballpark.
It's not. It was a home run in
I
26.
saw
out of
Jack
50.
Howe hit a check swing home run, a broken bat home run, and I saw Fralin hit a check swing home run at the old Yankee Stadium.
Well, that's old Yankee Stadium. This is new Yankee Stadium now. So go back to your little your little city, your city that wants to be New York City.
We don't want to be in New York.
Well, it's a more spread out version of New York.
But
All right, so
go ahead.
yeah, so again, the key with the Angels here is don't waste Otani and don't waste Trout.
No,
That's all I'm going to say. Don't waste these exceptional talents.
No.
they're once in a generation ball players. A guy like Trout who can do it all, Shotani who can do it all. You literally have two ball players that you dream of. Like, yeah, they might be able to do it all in high school, but at the major league level, are you kidding me? This is the best opportunity the Angels have to really get those two to the postseason. With those two ball players, seeing them in the postseason, you realize how rare that would be.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, that's true. Just don't waste those guys. Right, Ralph? Okay, now, again, as I tell you, and I preface what I'm going to say, you got Joe Madden. You saw him a lot, okay, with the Cubs when they faced Pittsburgh. So, Ralph, I'm going to just ask you a simple question here, okay? Give us your observations of Joe Madden.
Joe Madden is a good manager. He can handle young players and he can handle the older type players too. The guys that have been in the league a long time, the superstars. He's worked with both. When he was down with the Rays, he had young players. He took them to the World Series. He was with Chicago. He had superstars. He's with the Angels now. He's got some superstars. I think Joe Madden sooner or later can win a World Series. I hope he does. I'd like to see him try. When he was out there sitting around, I thought that the Pirates should have picked him up as a manager. He's good with young players. So, and he's also good with the superstars as well. He's just a good manager. Now that he has both hitting and pitching, as Eric said, I think the Angels can maybe move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I think the thing that I hope for Joe Madden is he falls into that rare breed where he's won a championship in both leagues, because that hadn't been done
right.
very often. I believe
there's not too many that do that.
Sparky Anderson, Tony La Russa,
right?
The only two.
Yeah, right. So maybe he'll be the third one. Again, don't waste.
Jim Leyland, he didn't win, but Jim Leyland was in the World Series in both leagues when he was with the Tigers.
Won it once.
Right.
He was in the World Series twice with the Tigers.
Right.
But
he hasn't won it in both leagues. He only won with the Marlins. So
with the Marlins,
All right. So what I want to do now is I want to talk about a specific division, and the reason why I want to talk about a specific division is the National League West is over 500 all teams. We'll break them down quickly one by one. The LA Dodgers, well, you know what? They got enough money. If you lose somebody, they'll pick somebody up. So what we're going to do is assess their chances to get back to the World Series.
Oh, they're going to win the whole thing. Everybody knows that. Even Eric knows that. So, why do we have a season? The Dodgers are going to win it all. They're the best team. They got the best pitching staff. I'm a little biased because I grew up in Southern California. But they're the best team, and Eric knows that. And so the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. So I see them back in there, and they're going to win it.
Yeah, all right, mister. I'm going to shake my head, Eric. I don't think you're buying Rick Curti's Kool-Aid, are you, Rick? Eric?
No, I wouldn't buy it. I'd dump it on the ground. Like we've seen the Dodgers do this before. Yes, they may have won a couple World Series, but they're gonna get bounced. It always happened. The underdog Braves did that to them last year. I mean, it's not. They won't. They are. A matter of fact, like when. Just wait until their arms give out. We saw it last year when Kershaw. We've seen Kershaw when he was the ace completely choke it in the playoffs. I mean, he's gotten a little better now, but he's no longer the ace. But I don't see it. Like we've seen, dream teams do not work in baseball. It's all about a team game. The Braves, the Dodgers think they can win with a dream team, and they may have won a couple World Series, but can they do it again? I don't think so.
It's gonna be Yankee Dodgers World Series.
Yeah, and the Yankees will win because they play complete baseball, not just the long ball and nothing else.
So right now, as it stands, the Dodgers are 19-8, and so that'll lead me to go over to Ralph. Okay, your assessment on the Dodgers.
Dodgers have, they spent a lot of money, but I got to tell you, you have the San Diego Padres creeping up on them, and I got to tell you, the San Diego Padres are starting to become something. They go out, they've made some trades, and they've done some things to improve their team. So if I'm the Dodgers, I'd watch out for the Padres creeping up on them, and maybe even doing something this year. Which could happen. And sometimes, and then also too, when the Dodgers, if they go up against one of those American League teams, as we mentioned, small market, and they end up getting beat by them, because they have, they did some small ball or something. That's what the Dodgers need to be aware of. Okay, they need to be aware of the small market team that could creep into the World Series in the American League and take them out. Like Eric said, they might even take them out. And somebody could do that. Yankees could do that. That's what the Dodgers need to be careful. Dodgers need to keep on doing what they're doing. If they don't, they're going to lose and they're going to fail. And, that could happen. So we'll see where it goes.
All right. So you talked about the San Diego Padres. They're currently 19-11. But the one thing that that if anybody knows out in Oakland, their manager is Bob Melvin. Need I say anymore that they needed stability in the dugout? I don't think you can go ahead and find a much more stable manager than Bob Melvin, right?
Absolutely.
Eric Katz and Ralph? Eric?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, again, Bob Melvin's he won with a team with no money in Oakland. He took them to the playoffs in 2012. He had them come out of nowhere and just sneak up on the Texas Rangers and win the AL West. This guy now has all the toys he could want with his current gig. The guy literally proved he could win in a market with no money, just horrendous fan support, horrendous ownership, and also a horrendous stadium. The guy proved I think the guy could probably win if you put him in a third world country. I think he's proved now he has everything you could ever want as a manager in the city of Los Angeles. So he goes from the armpit of Major League Baseball to the heart and to basically the heart. Talk about an upgrade in the quality of life.
Yeah, I would definitely say Oakland and San Diego are a little bit like night and day for sure, being a member of the Padres, right, Mr. Curti?
Yep, San Diego's beautiful. I'm happy for Bob Melvin. He knew the writing was on the wall with their sewage-filled, rat-filled stadium with no attendance. The rumors of them moving to Las Vegas every year. The no money, the I call it penny ball that they've been doing now. Not forget about money ball. Just pitching.
The people in Oakland don't want to support him, Rick. What are you going to do?
Pitching pennies everywhere, and I'm happy he went to San Diego, and now he's got great ownership, wants to spend money. You got superstars in their 20s. They're going to be there for a long time. He's in San Diego, the beach. And the great thing is that he didn't have to change his driver's license. He can still keep his California driver's license. So why not?
I think he's got a great situation in San Diego. Finally, they got that team last year was very distracted toward the end of the year. And obviously as good as their manager was, I thought he was a little overmatched for that clubhouse, especially for a guy who can be a complete cancer in Manny Machado. And so I think this is a guy who's seasoned. He's ready for it. He's dealt with stars. He knows how to win. And so I think he has him going in the right direction. And wait until Fernando.
I agree with you, Eric, on that. I think the Padres are going to be a great team. They have Joe Musgrove pitching for him. Joe's a good pitcher and a quality guy that'll give you quality innings.
Just wait until
I'm sorry, Eric.
And also, they fired their pitching coach mid-year last year, so there was some of that too. They had no pitching last year.
Yes, exactly. So this year they have all the tools, Eric, and they should win. And I believe they will win.
For some reason, they tried at the deadline, but for some reason came up empty when there was easily some consolation prizes they could have gone after, and for some reason didn't. But just wait until Fernando Tatis comes back. That team is going to be cranking home runs like no tomorrow.
They can stay healthy.
Oh, no doubt.
They can stay healthy. That's his problem. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Well, that's become recent. Actually, it hasn't it wasn't really a thing until these past couple of years.
You know what they say, Rick? You can't help the club if you're in the tub. You know,
Yeah,
so
I mean, he
you
can't.
know,
That's
so
the problem.
if he
That's
can
the
stay
problem.
healthy,
He can't stay healthy.
they can win.
They also have
Yeah.
some other bats stepping up for him that have been just terrific this year.
They're great. I mean, the only thing they got to do is get rid of those ugly UPS uniforms, and they're good to go. I hate those.
Go back
I hate them. They look
go
ugly.
Go back to the pinstripes of the 90s. Go back to the.
I like
Oh, I
that.
used to love. I used to love the powder blue jerseys. I used to love the powder blue uniforms.
Oh, come on, Rick! Quit criticizing those brown and
they look like
yellow
UPS
jerseys.
drivers.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm watching you guys go back and forth, and I gotta say this, okay? I didn't mind the brown jerseys. They were the Padres. Okay, they were Tony Gwynn. They were Dave Winfield. They were the Padres. There's an identity. UPS uniform. Never heard that one before.
Yeah, they said they look like UPS drivers.
Oh, quit picking on the darn uniforms, Curti. My God.
I don't like them.
All right,
hey Scott, at least their uniforms are consistent.
Yeah, they are.
At least they're consistent. They haven't
talking
changed.
about the uniforms that Tony Gwynn and Dave Winfield made famous.
I like the ones
right?
when
Yes.
they got Fred McGriff and Tony Fernandez when they had those navy blue ones. Those were
all
cool.
right. Okay, so now all of a sudden Rick Curti's giving us a
fashion tips.
Yep.
A fashion tip. Yeah, there you go, Scott. Yeah.
The podcast.
All right, so here we go, folks. Yeah, I hope you're getting a lot of
Rick, you should put on a baseball fashion show. There you go.
I would talk about I said, the Padres they're dreadful. I just hate them.
Picking on those uniforms. So all right, we're gonna go from San Diego to the San Francisco Treat, or the Giants, I should say. They're 17 up, 12 down. Last year, though, this is a team that was 107-55 in first place and didn't even get past the Dodgers in the first round. So we got a few more things we want to get to, and then time permitting, we'll talk about Las Vegas and MLB. But let's go ahead and lead off with you, Ralph, okay, about the San Francisco Giants. You see a little bit of a regress. I know Gabe Kapler did a great job with that team last year.
Yeah, they've regressed a little bit. Who knows? They might creep back up. Their record 17-12. At least it's above 500. They could creep up later on if the Padres get some injuries, make some mistakes. Dodgers likewise. Giants could sneak up in there. You never know. We're early in baseball right now, Scott, and what's happening is that we got the early bloomers, but wait till after the All-Star game and see what happens. Some teams go down the toilet and others move up ahead. Giants could do that. Padres, and like I said, the Dodgers. You could spend all the money you want, but when you got 100 injuries, that's not going to help you. And especially when it comes down to the playoffs and getting into the World Series. If they can stay healthy and they can get pitching and hitting going and start putting everything together, I think the Giants could be just as good as the Padres and the Dodgers.
All right, Eric, what are your thoughts?
I think that the Giants, I've saw them play. They're a good team. I think they pitch really well. They're also very good at using an opener, and their bullpen is very, very good. I saw him here in Milwaukee. They got Jock Pederson, who seems to become a Brewer killer as of late with both the Braves and the Giants. I think that we saw him last year surprise a lot of people with 107 wins, I just don't think they were ready for the postseason last year. You were going up against a Dodger team that's been there, done that, but they're a sneaky team, and don't be shocked if they really start to surprise some people like they did last year.
Okay, Rick.
Yeah, I know. They were a big surprise last year. I didn't see it coming. I remember when Gabe Kapler got hired, everybody hated the hire, including me. I said, what a stupid, horrible hire. And boy, was I wrong. They won 100-some games. Of course, I'm a Dodger fan, and I hate the Giants. So it was great to see them not make it. So, but right now, I think they were the hunters. Now they're the hunted, because people say, oh boy, this team is really good, we got to watch out for them. So people kind of are not underestimating them anymore. They can come in and play lights out like they did last year, but I think it's going to be tougher because it's just hard to duplicate what they did last season. That just stunned a lot of people, including me. So but they're going to be a good team up there with the Dodgers and the Padres. And it's early, but they can make a big push and a big run. But we'll see what happens. But are they going to be as good as I just don't see that happening. I just think that was just something that a lot of people didn't expect, and it's just hard to duplicate that kind of success from last year.
So they're 17.
But here's
the
the interesting thing is every team in this division has a over 500 record. There's not one of them, and they're all close. So this could be a close division this year. That's an inch. I mean, I'm looking at that right now, and I'm like, wow, everybody's above 500 here. There's nobody losing. They're like kind of like just they're all winning. It's going to be a scrappy division. That's where this is going to go this year.
Yeah, so let me add a couple things to that. I was about to get to that. So great minds think alike, Ralph. Okay, but,
there you go, Scott.
So that's what we'll call the GMTA. Yeah, I know that right now when you look at a 17-12 record up to this point, and a team that's won 107 games, it's just remarkable. But again, you know what? In baseball, if you win 90, 95 games to get in the postseason, that's all that matters. The regular season records really don't mean as much. They do a little, but they do as well. All right. So getting to your point, and I'll continue to build on that point, Ralph. Okay. The Colorado Rockies, a manager that you're all too familiar with. I believe Clint Hurdle's there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. So obviously, Clint Hurdle, the biggest mistake Pirates did was when he ended up leaving. So if there's a Clint Hurdle authority, Ralph Williams, okay, boy, did Pittsburgh blow it and did Colorado get it right?
Yeah, they did. Clint Hurdle got disgusted. He got tired of Bob Nutting. You could see it in his face. You could see it in the tone of his voice when he was doing press conferences. And as I mentioned once before, Scott, I spoke to a personal friend of his once, and he told me this story. And I used to DJ his Pride of Willie events here in Pittsburgh because his kids have Pride of Willie, which is some kind of a disease. So when I would DJ those events, okay, he would tell. I heard it from the horse's mouth. He said he got disgusted with Bob Nutting. He got tired of it. Tired of Bob Nutting's games, Neil Huntington making stupid trades, and it leaned on him. I mean, you could be the greatest manager in the world, but if you don't have the horses to win, you just can't do it anymore. And he got disgusted. I could see his face was always red. I mean, he was always like talking like, and you could tell. I mean, you could read sometimes in someone's face that they're disgusted, they're tired of this, and that's where I saw in Clint Hurdle, especially after I talked to his friend, and his friend told me that too. And then I saw him at the Pride of Willie, and he was like, Ralph, he says, I'm disgusted. And I mean, he came right out and told me that.
Yeah, the Rockies currently stand at 16-13, and I'm actually, again, you got a guy like Clint Hurdle, that's unbelievable. So go ahead, Eric.
Actually, it's not Clint Hurdle who's the manager there right now. It's Bud Black.
Oh, Bud Black. I'm sorry.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks.
Yeah. Well, Clint Hurdle's the assistant general manager there.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well,
he's assistant GM. Yeah.
It's
good to have a mind like that to help you out.
Yep. Clint Hurdle. I mean, over 1,000 wins in your career is nothing to snuff over. Don't care how you cut it. I mean, he's a good manager. His biggest problem was like you said, Ralph, was Bob Nutting doesn't want to spend. Huntington decides to be stupid and trade away the core that was developing there with Garrett Cole, also Andrew McCutchen, Sterling Marte. You literally had a young core there that would have given you a chance to win it all. I'm not sure if they would have won it all, but they had a really good chance. And also the forgotten closer, Jason Grilli, who was a 40+ save guy.
Yes.
But there clearly was some tension between Nutting and Hurdle. That's why Hurdle was let go.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the media doesn't really read into owner and manager feuds very much anymore like they used to. I don't know why they kind of went away from that. You would think it would be for great soap opera, but they never really get into that until later. But the thing is, Nutting just doesn't want to spend in free agency. When free agency, you can plug a hole, it will take you over the top. Nutting just neglects the free agent market. You can't win like that. And Nutting
exactly. Well, now he's managed to. I mean, he signed Key Brian Hayes to a long-term contract. he signed Brian Reynolds to a couple-year contract to save it from going to arbitration. So Nutting is starting to spend money. We have a good management or a good personnel base in the front office. We have
Ben
Travis
Sheridan.
Williams, who's a personnel kind of guy, worked with the Penguins, and then we have Ben Cherington, who is one of the better general managers in Major League Baseball.
Won a World Series
Now,
directly.
I'm not sold right now on Derek Shelton. This is his first full season. Let's see what he can do. He had 2 COVID seasons when he started. So now this is his 3rd year. Let's see what he does, Derek Shelton. Okay. I'm not sold on some of the personnel decisions he made. I'm angry about last year's thing where they had that kid throwing for 30 miles an hour. That kid and everybody in the dugout was laughing. You know what? You got to control your dugout. And then this thing with Lawrence Knapp getting thrown out of the game because he said something on in the dugout. Where's Don Kelly, the bench coach? Why isn't he telling him, look, don't say things like that? Then we ended up having to use a utility catcher who hasn't caught since middle school. So what I'm saying is that that's the type of stuff that's going on. Derek Shelton's not going to last long. He has to have control of his dugout, and it's that simple.
I'm not loving the way Derek Shelton's managed his pitchers. He'll keep them in maybe for an inning too long, and then boom.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's what happened with the Brewers, and Rowdy Tellez goes on a complete tear.
So let's just make sure we stay on point here, okay? I want to make sure we address a lot of the division winners, and I want to see if we get the Las Vegas MLB thing as well, because I'm intrigued about that now. All right. So obviously, Bud Black has done a really good job. It's good to have a good baseball mind like Bud Hurley in the organization. But the main thing is again, and we're talking about a division where they're all over 500. So I want to talk about a team that we mentioned a little bit earlier, the Arizona Diamondbacks. First of all, Rick, is there anything you want to add to the Rockies before we move over to the Diamondbacks that we haven't discussed?
I like them. They look really good. I like the Chris Bryant. The rarefied air will help his numbers. I don't know about the pitching, but are they like a true contender now? But they're off to a good start. But do I see them contending? I don't.
Okay. Now, last week I had an opportunity to see the Arizona Diamondbacks. I lived in Arizona actually when they won the World Series. When Bob Brenly was there, it was a pretty exciting time. It was the first major championship ever. But again. But here's the thing. Okay, a year ago they were 52 and 110. Torey Lovello, obviously they kept him. They didn't make the managerial change as much as they probably had a reason they could. They opted to go patience. But the Diamondbacks are only 4.5 games back of the first place Dodgers. Now, I got to tell you, the game I was at last week was when Madison Bumgarner got tossed after 1 inning. And who do you think's pitching tonight against the Marlins? Madison Bumgarner against Jesus Luzardo. So the only prediction I'll make is that I expect Madison to last more than an inning, but don't sell the Diamondbacks short. I have to tell you that there's only 3 guys I even knew by name: Joe Mantiply, Ian Kennedy, and Madison Bumgarner. So they got a bunch of no-name teams on there. And again, Ralph, you alluded to it earlier, this division is so wide open that it's how often do you have a situation where you have 5 teams over 500 this early? And that to me is just one of those divisions where anything could go. So, all right, Ralph, I'll let you go ahead and pick up on that. Then Eric and Rick, and then we'll talk a little bit of baseball in Vegas.
Yeah, anything could happen in this division right now, Scott, like you mentioned. We have all these teams above 500, as we mentioned earlier. Arizona could creep up in there. It looks like they have some young, scrappy players that are willing to start winning. And, it's early yet. Again, it's early. All right. We'll see what happens, as I said, after the All-Star game. But sometimes there's a few teams that'll go down the toilet and others will move ahead. And we'll see how that works. And the Diamondbacks look like they could be a young team. If they keep winning, they could creep up in there, and who knows? It's a wide open division. It really is. It's crazy, but that's where we are.
Well, the one thing I'm going to mention before I turn over to you, Eric, it seems to get off to horrible starts. Sometimes they don't recover from them, and they're out right away. So, if you're several games under 500 and you're playing catch up the whole year, that's not easy. Despite the fact that you have 162 games, that doesn't make any difference whether you have 162 or not. If you get off to an atrocious start, you take that optimism you had in spring training and you can throw it in the file 13. So pick it up from there, Eric.
I think it wasn't that long ago that Torey Lovolo took that scrappy team to the playoffs. I think he's just had a real rough go of it last year obviously 110 losses on paper, but you have to keep in mind though that team was really banged up throughout the year. Madison Bumgarner I think was out for most of that season, so I think having your full arsenal of guys come back is huge for them, and also the prospects they got for the prospects they were able to get for I believe Eduardo Escobar is going to be good for them from the Brewers. But also this team is that I just don't see it with them. I mean, Merrill Kelly's been great so far this year, but I can't see them really contending. I mean, I didn't see really any change from last year. It's just this year they're off to a better start, and they actually have some guys who can actually play instead of just a 52 win team last year where it seemed as though they were getting pounded day in and day out, where they were almost miserable to watch. Probably arguably more miserable than what the Reds were to begin the year.
Okay. Well, what do you think, Rick, about the Diamondbacks?
They had a rough season before that. I think Lovolo was manager of the year or one of the managers of the year. And great college player. I remember seeing him play in college. Great switch hitter. So it's interesting to see him in managing. But I think they're like 2-3 years away. I just think they're just very raw right now, very young, inconsistent. They were great one season and really terrible the next season. Injuries played a part in it. But if they can stay healthy, get some pitching, do good in the draft, I can see them making some noise in about 3 years.
Yeah, the only thing the Diamondbacks have to do is continue with Torey Lovullo and don't be so quick to get rid of this guy. He seems to keep this team competitive with younger players, and if a manager can grow with his players, I think you're in pretty solid shape. Well, time is permitting, so what we're going to do now quickly is we're going to go from one desert in Phoenix all the way to another one in Las Vegas and MLB. I know this is a subject that a lot of people like to talk about. Then again, when 2,488 people show up and one of the most embarrassing attendance figures that I can ever imagine, it's really a topic for discussion. So, Ralph, I know you suggested we talk about it tonight. So what's your take on MLB in Las Vegas?
Well, Las Vegas now can have professional sports teams. They already have a hockey team. They already have a football team. They're working on an NBA team and a Major League Baseball team. And, they have a USL soccer team because our Riverhounds played them down there in Vegas. So what I'm saying is Vegas is becoming the hub for major sports. Major League Baseball now wants to start up down there, and the A's or someone else by any other imagination might want to move down there. The money's down there, people are down there, and so it'll do good for more tourism for Vegas because people want to go down there and see what the new team looks like. And you have a nice hot climate that you can play in down there. They'll probably have a retractable ballpark with a retractable roof. So I mean, it might not be a bad thing for Vegas to have a team. It's an up and coming city, always has been. I haven't been there since 1999, so I'm not exactly sure. I got married down there with my first marriage, and I will tell you that it was great then, but I don't know what it is now. But it's still great now. There's lots of entertainment. It's a nice city, so we'll see what happens with that. But there could be a couple teams going down there, maybe, or 3 or so. Who knows? Nobody knows.
The only thing I'll say about Vegas is I lived in Phoenix and was planning to go to Vegas, but I chose to be with my parents in Southern Florida. Obviously, the best move I've ever made coming to South Florida. I love it here on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I have no regret. I made a great. Of course, it doesn't hurt. I met my soulmate here as well.
Well, that's great.
A Milwaukee Brewer, by the way. So we'll leave it at that.
Badger.
Yeah. All right. So with that said, Eric, okay, what's your take of Las Vegas as an MLB market?
I love it. I mean, Vegas has shown that they can be a hit for sports teams. I got a friend of mine who's a Vegas Knights season ticket holder, and they put on a show. It's probably, you could probably call it the greatest show on ice. It's the Raiders, their stadium is state of the art. It looks like the Death Star, but it's still state of the art. It's just them. It fits them because the Raiders were always that team that everybody that a team wants to beat. It's just them. Vegas has shown they can match their stadium. They can match a stadium with a team's personality. And I think that Vegas has proven that they can be a hub for sports. Vegas is it's a growing city. It's a hotbed for people wanting to go over there. They always had the entertainment. They've always been able to do it. It's just, but now sports teams have realized, especially with the gambling, that, that's a lot of money we're leaving on the table. So now the revenues are just going to balloon. The team valuation is going to go up. And so I think very soon, we will have a team in Vegas. I mean, they've proven they can do it with football and hockey, hockey being probably the number 3 of the big 3 sports leagues, but they've proven they can be a hit there. I don't see why they can't with America's pastime. They have a couple minor league teams there that are that the fans absolutely adore in Nevada. So I can't see why they wouldn't be able to host a Major League Baseball team.
All right, Rick.
Well, I used to live in Las Vegas from 2001 to 2006. And when I lived there, there was no way we're going to put a team there. I remember David Stern saying, over my dead body, that we'll get an NBA team in Las Vegas as long as I'm commissioner. But things have changed so much. A lot of it has to do with fantasy sports and online gaming, which makes billions and billions of dollars every year. And it's all about the money. And it's the showbiz, the entertainment. They have the NHL. They have the NFL. There's rumors of getting the NBA. The Oakland A's are definitely going to be moving to Las Vegas. It's just a matter of time, because there's no money to be made in Oakland, but there's tons of money made in Las Vegas. It's just a hub. It's one of the fastest growing cities out there. People are moving there, a lot of transplants. It's a great fit. I always thought they should get an MLB team when I lived out there, and I'm glad that it's finally getting recognized that they can support professional sports. And their minor league baseball team, the Las Vegas Aviators, has a great attendance, one of the top attendance in all of minor league baseball. So it's just a matter of time, but the Oakland A's will soon become the Las Vegas Athletics or the Vegas A's. It's just a matter of time.
All right, the only thing I'm going to add to this whole thing is many years ago, and I used to go to Vegas a lot, by the way, is when and I'm not a real avid gambler. I usually like to just go play the slots when I got tired. If I was losing a little bit of money, I did one of two things. I used to buy souvenirs, whether it's shirts or jackets or whatever, number one, or that way at least I knew that I get to keep them instead of losing them. Or what I would do is go to the Grand Canyon, Hoover Dam, Laughlin, and I used to do other things to stay out of the casino. So with that said, I think the great part about professional sports there, it's a diversion, and you stay out of the casinos, and then you have an opportunity to watch professional sports. So yeah, I'm with you guys all the way. That if you can have professional sports, keeps you out of the casinos. That's great, and I've seen a lot. I've had a lot of fun in.
I think Las Vegas also with the introduction of professional sports there, with them wanting it for so long, because obviously a lot of things have changed since David Stern made that comment over my dead body. Because now we've seen fantasy sports just blow up.
That's what's changed it.
We've also seen these daily fantasy sports as well as other gambling things blow up, where the amount of revenue they can make off of it is ridiculous, and the ways that they can easily do it. Heck, we're seeing gambling odds on the TV now. Didn't think we would see that.
USFL too. Yeah.
Yes, I think that I think Vegas, what it's trying to do, the city itself is changing. They want to be more, instead of just a city for gamblers, like they've had that reputation for so long, gamblers and everything else that comes along with that. They kind of want to be more of a city for everybody. I think that's what they're trying to do. They've been able to successfully do it with the hockey community, and as well as the NFL with the Raiders, which they've always had a strong fan base there with the Raiders, considering the proximity from Vegas to Oakland. They've always had that, but I think they're trying to become more of a city for everybody, and they're trying to really get the national pastime into their city so they can appeal to that as well. Heck, Pete Rose even lives there.
I mean, and gambles. And he still gambles.
He doesn't change.
Hey, there's more to Vegas than gambling. I've always said that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. here's the thing. I don't really, believe it or not, see the NBA going there anytime soon. I really don't. And and here's my take on that. Okay, so hear me out. I think
Go
when
ahead,
the
Scott.
NBA goes anywhere, they're going back to Seattle first.
Yes.
Period. So Vegas isn't. I'm not drinking the Vegas Kool-Aid NBA, but they got three sports, and yeah, Ralph, you're 100% right. Okay, there's a lot more to do in that area for kids, theme parks, and you're not going to have no kids in the casinos or anything, but they can do a lot more. That's the only way they're going to be able to maintain their level of tourism is by keeping the kids, whether it's theme parks or whatnot. So I'm with you guys all the way there. But yeah, do I think MLB could do well in Vegas? Oh, no doubt about it. Hey, and when you think about that, it doesn't take a math major to figure this out, guys. Okay, if you could go ahead and buy money for a ticket, okay, to go to games, whether they're expensive or not, it's a whole lot cheaper than losing money in the casino. So I don't think you'll hear anybody
Absolutely.
complain about the cost of a ticket in Vegas as you would with 29 other cities or wherever we have here, that. And I know I'm going into Curti's wheelhouse, but we're going to devote another show, so don't get too excited here, Rick. Okay.
I think also the NBA won't go there besides Seattle because the Sonics, they absolutely love the Sonics. It was a shame the raw deal that city got. But I think also the Tim Donaghy mess of 2007, I think that scar is still very fresh on the NBA, which is why they're not going to jump on Vegas like everyone else is because of what happened with the Tim Donaghy mess.
Yeah, that's a good point. But reiterating my thought here, and I'm glad you brought that up, Eric. No, I don't see the NBA going there whatsoever. But again, when you talk about how much money, I'll give you this example before we call it a night, is when I ended up going ahead and went to Vegas and San Diego on the same trip. I was covering the Lions and the San Diego Chargers at Jack Murphy Stadium a long time ago. And the stress level that I went from McCarran International Airport to the one in San Diego was a whole lot easier because there were no casinos getting in that airport. So you knew it was a much different town. And for any of you folks out there in San Diego, gotta love La Jolla. I mean, but I gotta love La Jolla. So no, I don't see NBA going to Vegas, but MLB, yeah, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And getting back to what I was telling you, Rick, okay, relocation will get Vegas a team. And, I know that a lot of folks, and we're going to do another show on this, so don't get too excited, Rick, okay? But I do believe that the front runners for expansion are Nashville and Charlotte. I don't see it in Montreal, but don't get too excited here. Otherwise, we're going to call Rick Curti the Pointer Sisters. And you don't want to hear me. So with that said, folks, you're listening to 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Show can be found on iHeartRadio. And it's also, you can see it on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel. So with that said, okay, Ralph Williams, why don't you let everybody know how they can go ahead and get a hold of you?
Yeah, Ralph Williams 737 at gmail.com, my Facebook page, Ralph Williams, my Twitter page, Ralph Williams, and my Wimkin page, Ralph Williams. And also you can go on Facebook, and I have a page for Sports Corner, the way I see it in Wrestle Talk.
Very good. All right, Eric.
You can find me on Twitter at Sports Team News, and also I write for BellyUpSports.com covering Wisconsin Badgers football.
And last but not least, Mr. Opinion.
You can find me on my website at www.charlottebats.com. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB. I'm also on there at Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. And I'm on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on LinkedIn under Rick Curti. Go on our website, sign our petition to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte. And my email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
All right, I'll hit y'all with it, y'all again here. If you want to find us on Twitter, at Tribune South gets it done. So @ Tribune South, South Florida Tribune at gmail.com is the email. The website's www.southfloridatribune.com. About the YouTube channel, I mentioned iHeartRadio as our primary audio. And again, what can I say about Candy Ebling? She does an unbelievable job putting this whole production together for all the different shows we have. We have a lot of great shows here. 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. You have Sports Exchange. You have Inside the Pigskin, Fire Up Michigan, Fire Up Florida, Real and the Rare, South Florida Tribune podcast. We got a lot of them out there to talk about as well. No Limits, I should mention that one. So we have sports and non-sports related content. Guys, I know we bit off a lot tonight, but we hope we've given our audience an opportunity to evaluate the early part of the MLB season, breaking it down division. And I knew there was no doubt that Ralph Williams, was definitely going to go ahead and get his Pittsburgh stuff in, no matter what. I mean, why not? The guy lives in the Burgh anyway, so I don't care.
Hey, you're right. Exactly, Scott.
So, but that's all right. So the common.
Oh yeah, right. They're 0-4.
I love the USFL. I love the USFL.
And don't show up and try to eat a piece of pizza because I want you to eat chicken salad.
Yeah, you'll get dumped. They'll kick you off.
Yeah, I know. You're going to the Mahler's reference, right?
Yes.
Yeah, about the guy that got cut for wanting one over the other.
Yeah.
Right,
right, exactly.
No,
Kirby Wilson made a complete idiot of himself as a coach.
Yeah, well,
he's doing it now.
Well, that'll get you a job in the NFL, not maybe as a water boy. But with that said, okay.
I can't be a water boy. I'm in a wheelchair. How can I be a water boy?
No, I'm talking about your coach, Ralph.
Oh, Kirby Wilson. Yeah. He should be cleaning toilets or something because he can't coach. He can't head coach. And he's never even been a coordinator.
Yeah, we're not giving a glowing endorsement to that guy. But anyways, once again, folks, we want to thank you very much for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Once again, my name is Scott Morganroth, joined tonight by Ralph Williams, Eric Katz, Rick Curti. And until the next time, everybody, we hope you enjoy this broadcast, and we'll be back and better than ever next week for another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Good night, everybody, and be safe.
Be safe. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.